Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I don't mean to sound like Jeffree Star, but I kinda do. Um, somebody was lying about cutting Chris, so let's clear the room mirror up. Let's clear the dirt out of her mouth, cause she needs to be set. She needs to be. If she doesn't know the truth by now, we need to set her straight. I can't stand her lying ass. Oh, bullshit! How about poor Kate? Poor Kate. Poor Chris. Her hateful ways. She doesn't know what a marriage is. Like a normal marriage.
This crazy family we call the Coffee Club. I eat and say I
Sorry.
Grab your straight jacket and kick your padded room. It is a bumpy ride.
Hi,
It's a
Papa
bumpy
School.
ride. It's nice to see you. Thank you. Thank you. Many of you guys know I'm very, very fond of, and I don't want to call him a kid because he's not a kid. He's in college. So I just want to show you guys this. This is interesting. This is kind of the crux of everything that we are going to be talking about today. Hey, Madison, it's nice to see you. Gigi.
Okay, the kid that she's talking about is a fucking liar. Because he doesn't know the truth. Get that.
Since the very beginning of Sebastian Rogers' disappearance, Katie and Chris Proudfoot have been trying to push the narrative that Sebastian was seen on camera after returning home from the Texas Roadhouse on February 25th, 2024.
Having to sit down and then not having the copies I needed. Let's talk about where to get these. Obviously, the first system is using Sterlite Tours.
Get me back. Get me back. Man, what the hell? Just a minute. Oh, baby, you're no one. I mean, no one to call out people. You could get your ass out there and look. You couldn't say and do shit. Oh, she could.
Before he was reported missing. Now, what's strange about them trying to push this narrative is that law enforcement never actually confirmed if that was actually. He is right. So we're getting back.
Hi guys, have a message.
It has been. Maybe I heard it early on, but because we didn't, it really wasn't a focal point of the stuff I was working on early on. It may have been missed, but this is what's critical, is that there was someone that took the garbage out. Now, what type of garbage? Did he take the cans to the road? You know, that's kind of what they're implying. But on one of the statements where we hear Katie talking about it, she talks about him taking the trash out of her car. Which to me, when I hear that, I'm thinking of, you know, car trash, right?
What?
I'm not thinking of garbage cans. I'm thinking of car trash. So it's a little weird. Who took this garbage can down to the road?
Okay, says he did.
The video is grainy at best. We learned that early on. We've been deceived a lot early on, so we have to take some of the early.
Yeah, but you ain't misinformation.
But we have enough information to imply that the grainy images are probably accurate. You know, that it's not a crystal clear image. It was kind of, you know, the sun had already set, probably a lot darker than many people think.
But you don't know this.
So what caught my attention is what they did say was whoever took the garbage down to the end of the driveway was wearing a black hoodie.
So it's Sebastian, Gundam.
Since I heard that, because there was only one person that evening.
And maybe Sebastian and having
Who
changed.
also wears
Duh.
the same black hoodie caught the day of Sebastian's disappearance. Which again, we also saw an image that was blown up by a content creator, not really a content creator. I think they're more of a watcher than a content creator. And you see this image that's blown up of something being put into a vehicle, or they're kind of leaning.
That's a
over,
lie.
and
No.
one of those images
No.
appear to be another a person in a black hoodie.
No.
So this whole thing about him taking the garbage out and skipping back, we're hearing that he has a very particular
And
a very particular
let's see Planet Andrea. Android.
All of this time,
Andrea.
there are abilities to enhance the video without
No, yeah. Other media people just edit videos, even though Texas World has.
Not only that, but there is a height difference between Katie as
No,
well as Sebastian, as well as a weight difference between Katie and Sebastian.
no shit.
That even if the image is grainy, if they can find a landmark like the garbage can or the
She doesn't know what she's
mailbox or something,
she
where
was
they can
putting
know the
this.
exact height, there's mathematical equations that they can do.
Yeah, but not that smart.
Find out what the images, the blob or the grainy image they see, that at least imply or give them a range of the height and weight of that person. Based on that grainy image, they could do that. So I would have to think that law enforcement does know who took the garbage cans to the road.
Yeah, but you never gonna know, are you?
It's not public to us. I have no opinion on who would have done it because the person skipped back allegedly. Could Katie skip back? Of course she could. Was she trying to be goofy? I mean, we don't know. But I don't know how much relevance that garbage can or who took it out really has.
It doesn't.
Timeline, or the people that believe.
But your timeline is always been messed up.
I'm one of those people. I'm in the camp. I do believe he arrived at home, and they didn't stop anywhere on their way home. I'm in that camp right now until other information, relevant information.
How about saying Katie and Chris are not guilty?
Opinion, but right now there's nothing concrete other than the stuff we have, and I believe he made it home.
I believe you full of shit.
But there's a lot of other oddities that Matt picks up, so I want you to hear that.
Taking out the trash. The footage was way too grainy, and even his father, Seth Rogers, couldn't 100% say with certainty that was Sebastian.
You know Seth lies. Just like Tony. Why don't you be honest about your finances, Tony? 25 lawsuits? How much money do you owe to the government?
Now that's odd because Sebastian, the only time he was stated that he was in all black was when he went to bed. And he didn't have a jacket when he left the home, so the idea that he would walk out of the house with a hoodie and not keep it on or not take it with him when he left the house is another oddity to me that doesn't make logical sense.
Doesn't mean Katie and Chris are guilty. They are innocent until proven guilty.
given the fact that Katie said that none of his shoes were missing. So maybe he did make it home, but then how did he end up
I really think this was a case
by way of
of
himself?
kidnapping. This,
Or did something happen in that car ride home and his clothes were removed?
I believe in David Ambassador.
Could something have happened in the car ride home that kind of caused this whole situation? It's possible, because for those of you that did view the footage from the Texas Roadhouse, probably saw immediately that it didn't appear
It looks
that they were
normal.
having a also friendly conversation.
Case,
You know, when
I
you
mean,
saw Sebastian getting out of the vehicle, he had his
Ray can't be able to save her life. Remember she said that, oh, Chris and Kaylin was fighting? That was bullshit. That was all bullshit. She can't read a situation, especially an edited video on loop. I mean, come on, guys, can you do better than that? Hungry Pooh and Nip the Rat, huh? In turn, be upfront about so you try to sue people. You got no limit, do you? Just need to know.
his fingers to his ears. When he got in, she kind of, slides him the mat.
And
Then you see them talking, and you kind of see her leaning in, and you see her do this.
no,
Like
no,
she's having a strong conversation.
no.
Sometimes when you have stuff in your hands and you're like, listen, you talk like that. Well, you saw her kind of do that with her
No, you
hand,
didn't.
and then Sebastian starts shaking his head no. And so it didn't seem like it was an all too friendly outing.
But he doesn't know how to read a situation.
I don't know if it was normal for them, but to the rest of the world, you saw a mother kind of ignoring her son.
No, he didn't.
And most of us, when we're having dinner with our kids, we're like, hey, get off the phone. This is family time, right?
You're not seeing.
So it was just a different perspective that we were able to see and see.
Let me preface it. Every family is different.
When they're out in the public eye. And it didn't seem a very loving and caring. Like, when he got up to walk out, you didn't see her like put her arm around him like most parents do.
He has autism.
Asking him, hey, how was your dinner? Did you enjoy your day out? You just didn't see that interaction.
You don't know what you're talking to.
And then we find out later that night he disappears. And why do I say later that night? Because if you listen to
Because Spidey's crazy.
statements, when he's screaming at Seth on Web Sleuths, one of the things Seth had asked him was, rumors.
Miriam.
Where he's
yeah.
I'm just trying to, kill the rumor, but
no,
No,
you do not twist it like that. Seth was trying to stop. Oh my god. Sorry, my eyes itch and my nose itch. Sorry. No, babe. Seth was trying to start some shit. Trying to start some rumors, and Chris shut him down. That's how it was. You know that, I know that, so shut up.
And what was Chris's statement when he went off on Seth? You know where my parents were on Sunday night. You know that they didn't come into contact or be around Katie or Sebastian at all Sunday night.
After he said he could have called them and asked them.
His focus when it came to his parents being involved with Sebastian, everything was Sunday night, not Monday morning.
He went missing something like
He
he
didn't
told
put an
them.
address. People, eyewitnesses, multiple eyewitnesses seeing his mother as early as 5:30 at Worsham's General Store.
He already been missing since
That
then.
reflect this, although we have never seen the video evidence of it, I know somebody was looking into it, and I heard that there was a trail cam. And
Like,
I heard that trail
if this
cam
is
video
true,
was turned over to law enforcement, and at that point, they
it's
never
nobody's
did anything
business.
about it. So, if it happened, to me, it seems that law enforcement does have a video of something.
The law enforcement is smarter and better than her.
Over a year ago. More people have come forward.
More people will come forward. No.
Originally, I think originally it was one lady, and then I counted up to 2 ladies, and then I talked to somebody else, and they're like, wait, from the area, and they're like, wait a minute, no. Then we had this guy come up here, this person, they all said that they saw her. One guy talked about him actually approaching. He was one of the locals there, actually approaching.
But do you have spies on them?
I saw you, and she denied it to him or something, and I think it was the guy. It might have been a female, but I'm pretty sure it was a guy. And he said, "I saw you." Like, so I don't know. You know, again.
I don't know. Blah, blah, blah.
But I did hear personally 2 to 3 stories myself over a year ago.
You don't
and
care.
Then, like 6 months or
You
6
don't
9
care.
months later, heard other people's.
If the cops didn't know.
To them and saying, wait, you know, that they saw the same thing.
Doesn't mean anything. If you don't have the receipt, ma'am, show the receipt. People can talk all kinds of shit like.
I remember some of those people that live in the suburbs in Hendersonville work over in Nashville. You know, Nashville's an hour away. So they've got to get up early. They got to be there at 7. They got to be leaving the house at 5.
No
so
kidding.
You have to remember that.
You have to remember that.
Really,
like I gave it done like you said.
And that, in my opinion, is with this theory, is explaining how
Matt is a liar. I promise.
Sebastian, if this theory,
Matt is another.
This is his theory. This is just a theory. You know, when we started out this case, we had multiple theories. Some of those theories involve stranger danger, him walking out, him having a friend.
But it all comes back to Katie, right? Shut the fuck up, baby. You are so unprofessional, uneducated, it's unreal. Especially about the government and how it works. I can like to you on that every fucking time.
And you know, coax him out, him being in a bully situation. The first parent that I thought would have been involved after finding out some information that was corroborated for me way early up front was Chris being responsible for everything. And then
because she's a man hater.
Information became fact and was factual. It did adjust those theories quite a bit. Where I originally thought it was Chris. Chris is the one that had the military background. He would have known how to sneak in. He would have known
No.
Okay,
dumbass.
Those types of things.
Okay, pause, sorry. Dumbass. Oh my god. The Navy service and Chris Joyce, they went in to serve their country, not the ones in needs. And I felt like Katie got life from stuff. Hell too low. Got her a skill, because Steph was very balanced, in my opinion.
And so I really thought that, but then over time, you know, working with my mod squad,
your mod squad isn't Jack.
You know, surfacing was, wait a minute.
Fuck you, baby.
He was home alone with his mother.
No, say, just realized that.
And we have to go back to criminology 101, right? And
Cause Betty doesn't know anything about criminology.
this is before we even knew that there was
48.
CPS reports. That just
Oh,
more
oh,
to the already piling of information.
and Steph has some too. 3. I heard. Chris and Steph has the same amount of CPS reports. Let's not this way. Let's keep it even looking at Steph. So if it's bad for Chris, it sure as fuck is bad for Steph. Let's go.
Really was starting to take hold and paint a very specific picture of what was happening. But I had to stop and remind myself the mom was home because nobody wants to think a mom can hurt anybody, right?
Notice that Steph and Chris has CPS report, right? But Kate doesn't have a single one.
So we all, most of us, I shouldn't say we all, I should say most of us in here have know what having a mom is, right?
You don't.
Some people don't. And we have to remember that. How messed up Katie's childhood was. Does she really know?
Whoa, no, no. You fucker.
She's had a mother figure in her life outside of her.
How dare you bring up her past? Let me tell you something. I know you're gonna write my matter, but you don't act like it. You keep breaking the law. You know, OJ, your mom supports your bad habits. What the fuck do you know about having a parent that says no? Yeah, cause her might be messed up, but she is a mom. You're not a mom. So you can speak on this, honey. You don't have empathy. You don't have. So for you to sit there and throw up her past is a nasty and vile thing to do. Your mother don't love her because
grandparents. You know? So we have to remember that because it's not about anything other than sometimes I know just talking to my family members, one of my family members, her mother died when she was a teenager, just getting into her hormones and stuff.
Sorry.
And so she's always
been the Queen Bee's my friend, and you don't know how much I do. So you need to go away. Please respect my friends. It's not bad news. I'm not saying that she's not perfect, okay? And I'm sorry if you don't like her, but I do. She treats me okay. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't see that. If she makes any more bad remarks about Queen Bee, please block her. I'm gonna always stand for a person that is my friend. Unless then,
wanted to know whether or not, if she just didn't know how to be a mom. And I think she was an amazing mom, but still, you have these things where sometimes that nerve.
okay, you never been a mom, special need mom. So when you get up judging her, you're not a fucking mom. You never was a mom. You dumb, ignorant asshole. I can't believe you don't know how good mom is. Look at Emma. Emma supports you fucking bad behavior. What are you talking about? She never says no. You always are rude to her. She's not sappy face. If my cousin, just a minute, I'm trying to set my screen up. My mom has set my face. If she if I was ever to disrespect her, you disrespect your mom all the fucking time. But like, you talk to her. So I don't see why you get to sit down and say, I'm not my mom. No, your mommy backs you up. I'm a real fucking cool mom. Like, say, Andrea, stop. This is enough. You've got to go out and let go. This woman thinks she's a woman, but she actually acts. No, she's. Are you talking to me?
Nurturing, you know, isn't there. We saw it with Leilani Simon. She had no mother instincts toward Quentin.
You're right about that.
I wonder, did Katie know what did she have those abilities?
No, because
that ability to be a mom and really connect with her.
Yes, she does. You don't. You took our. You took our touch space. Really? You took our touch. Maybe yes, you can face the fact your kids are going to go to a grand jail this week. Oh shit. Oh my god. And maybe it's next Monday, I don't know. So stop about her.
Child, like many of you guys have connected with your children.
You have no idea about that.
It makes you wonder because we're in this situation. And listen to this. This is what I learned this morning. This is what I learned this morning is that Chris and Katie, now mind you, they've been together since it was February 26th, the day that Sebastian was reported missing. However, it was 8 years prior to. Katie filed for divorce from Seth, and based upon the timeline that was put together, and also, I think
it doesn't matter.
It implied basically the same thing.
It appears
that Chris and Katie may have been having an affair on both Seth and Nina at the time.
It doesn't matter. It's the past.
Of course, Chris is starting to work on trying to get out of his marriage by trying to go after her and get his daughter. And
you don't know about that situation.
By use of a protective order, let's not forget that. Meanwhile, Katie, I don't know the timeline between each one of them, but Katie introduces at court that she wants to divorce Seth on February 26, 2016. Well, I just learned that they didn't even get married until 2021 on Valentine's Day.
Oh my gosh, Valentine's Day.
So they were together literally 5 years before he put a ring on it?
Okay, just a minute. Katie has carried Philip Sebastian Kirk. She carried that boy to 9 months. She raised him into 15, 16 years. I guess 15 years. So yes, Katie was able to do like Sebastian. She was able to go into the Navy, get her skill, come out, and being like a real man, like Chris. Uh-oh. I don't see her. Is she back? Hi, ASDFJKL. If you need to back up.
5 years or something like that. What was it? So they got married in 2021. So you got 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21. 5 years.
And
Hey, Eileen. Oh, there's some gifted Bullhorn Betty memberships. I missed them. Hold on.
Eileen, you can go F yourself.
Let's see if it'll let me. Oh, it does let me do it on this phone. It wouldn't let me do it on the last phone. Let me. Melody. Oh, Brave Private Grace gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships, and Holly gifted. I think they came to the Remington. That's okay. It's nice to see you. Oh, hugs. Some of their immediate family that they had a lot of contact with. You may want to do like a family tree and see where, those types of things come from. And I know many people have already done those things. And that's probably some of the fruits of the labor of those. So we found out that they were married in 2021.
Who gives a damn?
That is about the time. It seems like a lot of stuff might have been happening very quickly. So let's talk about that. So they moved from California. Clearly, they're unmarried. They never got married in California.
How does this help, Sebastian?
Sent to me was
It doesn't.
Tennessee.
What right do you have?
Blah blah blah. The date that they were married.
Why do you have that? Why do you have that? Unless you ask for it.
They came into Tennessee. They must have moved in. I don't know if they rented a place before they moved into the Remington house, but it appears at some point they moved into the Remington house for a couple years, maybe between a year to 3 years. I don't want to put a specific date or time on it because I really just don't know. I think it was a couple years, personally. I think that's if I recall correctly, it was a couple years. So meanwhile, Chris is working to get his certificate for the crane operation. I believe he graduated whatever school he was going back into.
Why did you into his history? Does it help, Sebastian? Your opinion sucks.
I can't remember. I'll have to look at the timeline, which I don't have up at the moment. So 2019, and when did they purchase the home? September 2022.
Why are you even talking about their history? This does not help, Sebastian. I'm on.
Girl mom knew that's where I was going next. So somewhere between the Remington time and the house purchase, Chris and Katie get married. I want you to think about this. They were married on Valentine's Day.
Oh my God, that's the worst day to be married.
2022, and actually, by 2022, they were probably in the process of looking for a home if they closed in September, because it sometimes takes anywhere between.
Why are you digging in the background?
About pricing and stuff like that, and must-have items. It could take you, a couple months to find your home. So this was a resale home that they ended up getting into contract, and I believe they got into contract, if I'm not mistaken, like June.
But you had no right. This is third party harassment.
I did this research it was back in March and April of last year. I did this research.
No, yes, but
it's been a bit of time. But they moved into this new house, and almost immediately, within 30 days of moving into this new house, they started working to get Sebastian out of it. Okay?
No.
But what we do find, the deductive reasoning we have,
we know
that the weekend of the 17th, February 17th, 2024, was Seth's weekend. So he took Sebastian, went on his weekend,
and
brought him back Sunday evening so he could be prepared for Monday, right? Why am I focusing on the 17th weekend? Because Sebastian was not home, and their anniversary was February 14th.
That's the business. That's
which
the
fell in 2024, I believe, on a Wednesday.
That's
Clearly,
the
they would have
business.
wanted to celebrate the week before or the weekend.
It doesn't matter.
After, I would presume, because both parents are working, and sometimes you like to have those
She keeps digging at home.
anniversaries. But also, when you're working working, you have to plan, and sometimes during the week it's not a good time, especially in the light of their situation where he's working 3.5 hours away. It's going to be very difficult for
How
them to
does
actually have
this help
an
Sebastian?
anniversary dinner together
And
on
so
their
yes,
actual
it does.
anniversary. So the weekend before would have been Katie's weekend. That's why I didn't select that one. The weekend of the 17th, however, would have been Seth's weekend. But we never heard Chris came home on their anniversary.
It doesn't matter.
And literally a week and some days later, Sebastian disappears for forever. We've never seen him again. I think this also solidifies the marital problems inside that home.
You don't know that.
And
Stop.
I think that the lifestyle and the marital problems
jealous
were
bitch.
a direct result and or motive for why we're here today.
No,
there was a lot of things going on. They weren't happy with Sebastian. They were treating him very poorly. They were, let's
get this straight. One more time, buddy. Let's get this straight, okay? We asked for a chance for Seth to get him. And Seth just wait until he gets his set together. He wasn't let the boy at that time. Wrong answer. A mistake, in my opinion. Number two, you don't know what's going on in the marriage. You don't know Jack said. Quit making up fucking lies. I love this radio. They can use this in the court. Keep going, bud.
So much so that all of a sudden they started having CPS involved in their life.
No.
Trying to discipline Sebastian. I think this is coined by, Lisa B. Always, trying to discipline him into normalcy. And it wasn't working, and they were getting frustrated.
That's a fucking lie. No.
That was really coming out when they got to this house.
No.
They, for whatever reason, they felt, people were looking at them, judging them, whatever.
No.
I don't know. I've never seen so many heartless people in one family before about how they talked about a disabled child.
Like you have. You don't speak for Katie. Never really, never have. Just like Tony Matthew. You don't speak for Katie or Chris. You never will. Never have. You can serve on the back of this missing boy. Okay, how about what's it she say? You don't get to spread the rumors, bitch. You don't get to say what happens when it's not your story. They have locked their life. They have locked their life. That means it's their life. It's their story to write. And the narrative you're calling like this is crap. You bullshit because you don't have new content. So you have to make up shit about them. You're okay, I know. You're the heartless bitch. You don't understand that mentally this is doing to them. You don't understand that you love your boy. And Seth does too. I'm not gonna take that away. But you don't understand. And Seth gets pissing at Chris because he said something about Seth. Are you mad, Seth, that he told you you're missing 2 hours out of your work night? Long was you just 2 hours?
A disabled child that they welcomed into their...
You call him a different packages. You call him something else. He said, Kate doesn't think like that. Only you might say something as awful as that, babe. So stop it.
Most people are a little more patient with disabled grandchildren.
How much you
just seemed like they mocked him.
No.
All the time.
No, ma'am.
Even the Bowerstocks, we heard some of the first posts. We were shocked.
No.
At how they were describing Sebastian at the beginning.
How about you?
Absolutely
A
shocked, and not in a
defective
good way.
packets?
I think our shock was almost appalling. You know, like we were appalled. Like it was that kind of shocking. And we look at from person to person in Chris's family that treated him and spoke to him this way, and we know ourselves in the back of our minds that they did this in front of this child. And I've heard on good accord that there were multiple times, I think it's publicly stated, that's the only way I think I would have received it, was that Sebastian thought his mom hated him.
No, Seth made him think that.
Like,
If
think
anything.
about that. Like, he's already a disadvantaged child because he's got all these medical issues. And then he's
okay, stop let the disabled call.
I mean, think about like normal people that don't have all these medical issues or disabilities would have a hard time processing that. But for a kid that doesn't understand, but understands he's not being treated right, you know, and I have to think that the reason why he knows he's not being treated right is because he's got the attention and the love from his dad.
Oh crap!
And he knew
what
the other side of this love.
That dad that abuses him mentally, physically, but he forgot. Honey, you may not know that Seth has a legitimate record. Seth has a legitimate record of abuse. He has that history. So don't. Seth didn't treat him any better, if you ask me.
And I think that he was smartening up, that he's being treated very poorly by his mom and his stepfather.
No, he wasn't. I think he was.
You know, saw Chris smack or, you know, hit Sebastian. We don't know if it was an open hand smack or, you know.
I never heard that. So that must be a fucking lie.
And it had to have been horrific for Sebastian to feel and have to go through.
To hit him on his face? No, baby, you're making that up.
Most missing persons cases, the person of interest is typically the last person to see that missing person alive. Katie Proudfoot is the last person to have seen Sebastian Rogers alive. She is automatically considered a person of interest. Maybe not a suspect, but she is a person of interest.
No. Don't you shake your head at me, you fucking fat bitch. I'm tired of being bullshit. Cousin and Chris's history is not of your fucking business. Your threats does not intimidate me. What is wrong with you? It's just I see you lying about Chris hitting him. Wow, that's a new low. That's a new low for you.
Katie constantly bringing up the fact that Sebastian was on camera at home after returning home from dinner at the Texas Roadhouse, and Chris doing the same thing. It makes it seem
Nobody said that. Nobody said that, Matt.
As their only hope to push authorities and the public off of realizing what actually happened, which is maybe that he didn't make it home. The last sign of life for Sebastian Rogers was at the Texas Roadhouse, him getting into the vehicle of Katie Proudfoot and driving away. Everything else that took place at the home later that night, the figure in the grainy footage taking the trash out, the lights flickering on and off in the house, the silhouette standing in the window, none of that has been confirmed to be Sebastian. So really, all options are still on the table here, whether he made it home or didn't. This case is so frustrating because look first.
You know, we don't know if they checked everyone. We were told that the stuff that is necessary to do in order to do an interior forensic test was not displayed. So what do I mean by that? Usually they tape off the windows, they go in there with
No.
Blue Star.
It if there's no body, like physical body in that house, you cannot do that type of test. You could survive if you use goddamn common sense, unlike Betty, who's trying to let me, his hands imprint to be all over that house. If there's nobody, no proof about the naked, like blood or stuff like that is in the house, there's no way you can do a test. There's no body. You cannot do that. I have asked a friend of mine who's a cop that, and he says there's no body can do that type of test. Sorry.
Or, other, like, I think U-Star is the common one that they use for, like, the luminol type of stuff. And
she doesn't
they
know
get
what
in there
she's
and
talking.
they do whatever they're going to do. They do forensic testing.
How?
Black light and other type of lighting.
His hands are over.
Microscopic.
His hands might be all over that house. How can he tell when he's coming in from school or something like that? A person's going out of the house. His hands are on the bottom, on the kitchen, in the kitchen, in the bottom, in the living room, in his room. You can't do that because it'd be so messed up. If there's no body, you can't do it anyways because there's no body. You have to have like some kind of form of stuff from your body to do that type of. And there was none of that. So it's just lying again.
Forensic stuff in there. They use the immunoblack to lift stuff that is latent, not seen with the naked eye. So there's so many things that need to be done in a crime scene that we have never heard.
It's not a crime scene. It's not a crime.
And we believe that house is, at least for me, I believe 100% that house is a crime scene.
But it's not.
I believe that house should have been turned into a crime scene on day one.
Why?
In accordance with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And then now we're learning about the bizarre behavior of Mr. Proudfoot that morning. Let's talk about some of that bizarre behavior. Originally, we only heard that he went out as soon as he got there and went to the news organizations and demanded that they take his house off. They moved their cameras. That's the first thing I ever heard about him. And now he downplayed that. We know his personality and how forceful and authoritarian he wants him to sound when he's talking to anyone. So he tried to imply when questioned about this that, oh no, I just went over there and just politely asked her if she could, take the cameras off the house. We've never seen a polite Chris Proudfoot.
Yes,
okay?
I have.
So the idea that I believe that he was this polite guy, can you just, move the camera a little bit so we can have our privacy? Even no matter how you look at it, that behavior in and of itself, very, very, very odd. But then he goes into the house, and from my understanding and rumors that are about, now I haven't been able to corroborate this.
He files for every fucking rumor.
For myself. And he went in there and would not allow law enforcement to question Katie anymore.
He has no authority of that.
Chris talking to Seth about what if this goes south. All of these things at the very beginning of the case are not normal or natural.
How about 3 days? Not even a week, not even 2 weeks. 3 fucking days. Seth has opened up himself a GoFundMe. Not even after 3 days. Tell me that isn't real and stuff. Yeah, no, you can't. Hi, Vince Zero. Hi, Titus.
For the situation. That action.
How
Right
about
here.
Chef? He's got for me. Not even 3 days. You can make a week until they get everything? Oh my god!
Told me he was already preparing for criminality. He was
No.
already presetting the stage
No.
for what was to come.
That's a lie. That's what I
That
fucking
tells
lie.
me he had knowledge of what transpired.
Like, quit.
In those the first 2 hours he arrived on scene, his behavior was very awkward, and it was very, very, very defensive if you look at it.
How about Chef?
Defensive behavior.
How about Chef?
Off the house. You're not questioning my life, my wife, and
that's not true.
Know, what are we gonna do if he's dead? How are we gonna handle the situation? Right? That's basically how it rolled.
No, it
that
didn't.
To me is odd behavior.
How about this?
All right, guys. Thank you for coming here.
No. Chef open a go for me on day 4. How sus is that? A lot. This Bruce person is nothing but batshit craziness. She doesn't understand. She doesn't even understand. She's pathetic and angry and desperate. Keep unspinning, because I'm not gonna spin a whole lot this weekend. Keep spinning. Like everybody said about the thing about tonight, whatever you want to say about the TV, about Sebastian, I couldn't like to, but it's so upsetting. And Chris, not Chris, Seth, you're a fucking liar. Do you go into my, first set, just go into your room. Have a good night and be safe. I'm out for tonight. Bye.